Hello. Welcome to Tutors of Life podcast, where we research life so you don't have to. Episode 379. This is your host, Shaun Tutor.
And this is Sam. And this is a Tutor episode where we try to teach you something new.
Made some breakfast tea.
And some green tea.
Green tea for you.
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast tea for me. Breakfast tea's yummy.
Dude, that tastes good.
Mm-hmm. Just like in Scotland.
Mm-hmm. We should really get like a ceramic teapot.
Oh, dude.
And just make a whole pot.
Found one down in the Fall Creek house. Or the Brackett house.
Yeah, I would not trust that.
Huh. Whatever.
No, I would not trust anything that comes out of that house.
All right, cool. Let me see here. We went out to dinner last night for our anniversary.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was fun. The leather anniversary.
The leather anniversary.
Mm-hmm. It's 3 years, if you guys didn't know that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Big 3-0.
Mm-hmm. Nope. Big 3.
Big 03.
There you go.
Big 03. You know, I'm turning the big 3-0 this year. I think that's why I said it that way.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking dude, getting old.
You are getting old.
You know what that's like.
I do indeed.
Okay. You know what, dude? Like, over the last 3 years, I haven't really thought of getting rid of you.
That's good.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. It's real good.
Yeah.
Did you before that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like on February 21st of 2022?
No. Well.
No, you probably did that day.
Probably for a minute or two.
You probably did that day.
A minute or two I thought about, oh my God, I did.
Yep.
Oh my God, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, dude. I seriously.
Should not have brought that up.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
There's been a handful of times where Sammy Pie here gets a little too drunky poo, and Shaun is not having it.
Gets mad.
Mm-hmm.
Get not thrilled. That was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
What made me not probably go forward with it that day was I went with the boys and rode go-karts.
Yeah, you did a whole bunch of guy shit that day.
Smoked weed, gambled,
Yeah.
drank, chilled. So, yeah, that kind of made up for it.
Mm-hmm. You probably had a lot more fun doing that than going to the Hoover Dam. Because everyone who went to the Hoover Dam said it was not a good tour.
So, hold on. I'm going to put this out in the ether. I was pretty upset with you because I wanted to see the Hoover Dam.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we got off the bus, I was like, this might turn out to be a better day.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy about it.
Yeah. Especially when I felt bad because we were supposed to go with like some of our family. And so they still went. We got off early. And yeah, they said it wasn't a good time.
Right. Yeah. So that was good. So we did that last night.
Mm-hmm.
And went to the Home and Garden show.
Yep.
That was all right.
Yeah.
It was all right.
Baby did good.
Baby did real good.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun seeing some people we know at the Home and Garden show.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun. I think that's the only part that's fun nowadays is going and seeing people we know.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly.
Yeah.
It's just such like it'd be cooler if it was like more like design oriented. So like you could be like, this is the up and coming styles of 2025. But it's just like a whole bunch of businesses promoting their businesses.
Yeah.
And it's people we're not going to use because they're way too expensive for us.
Yep. That's what Ryan said too when we were there. He's like, this isn't where you find subs. I was like, no, this is where you find generals.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Not where you're finding subs.
Yeah. But it was still fun. And then we went and our friend Caitlin Anderson.
Oh, yeah. Crust and Crumb Bakery. Bakery.
Mm-hmm. She had her opening day. opening,
Yep.
grand opening.
Grand opening.
So she had some samples, and they were so good.
We ate too much.
Yeah.
We ate too many sweets.
Way too many sweets.
Yep.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
It tasted so good.
It was good, dude. It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was good.
So yeah, what are we tutoring about?
We're going to talk about some of the lessons I learned, or some of the things I learned from Rob with Compass Property Management.
Yeah.
And Ryan and I chatted about a little bit, and he brought up a point that's like probably the over-encompassing point that I didn't think of, but is the case.
Mm-hmm.
It's Rob manages and runs his company based on the position and based on like the system of that position. Most people, or a lot of people, run their company based on their people, like their staff, compared to the role. So they manage based on like the person instead of the role. So when you're managing based on the person and not the role, you're trying to fit the person to the role instead of fitting the role to the person. And that is like your hardest, that's the biggest issue you have with getting a company like a well-oiled machine and operating like a system. Because if you have it where you have the system and you put the person into the system, and so then the system has to fit the person, like if that person leaves, you just do that again, right? Where if you're doing all this fucking like jujitsu, right? Like all these fucking moves to get the person to try and fit the role, so they're really not doing the role, they're doing a bunch of random shit because you're managing by person instead of by role. It becomes a lot harder to replace that person. So yeah, it's interesting. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, how many like big entrepreneurs have we heard talk about how you have to create the system, and if the person you hired doesn't fit in that position or can't do that position, then either find them a position that they do fit in and can do well, or you need to fire them and get a new person. But I do think like so many, especially like, I know when you're like really small, like,
oh yeah, team member focused versus system focused. Yeah.
I do know like when you're really small, like you do have to kind of pick your battles, I would say. Because like obviously right now, like we only really have 3, I mean, we have our 4 main roles, which each of us have. But like down the road, like that would potentially probably be 6 or 7 people, potentially. So like obviously like those positions will change, and like people's duties will have to like change and adapt throughout time. But it is like smart to start with the system, and then you can always like take and give and take.
Right.
As you go.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's our like. I mean, once again, we're just still so small and still starting out that like we don't have the systems down yet, so we don't really know if our people fit those systems well.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Yeah, but it's something like this year, and I mean, Rob said what it took him 6 years to get to where he's at system wise.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be a long road of us creating a system, changing for what works, what doesn't work,
definitely,
stuff like that.
Definitely. No.
But I mean, we're going to make changes based on the system, not based on if our people can do it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, because if the people can't do it, then you can see if they'll fit into a different seat or a different role. And if they don't, then you got to move on. And that's so much. That's life. So, yeah, it's interesting. So, you know, some of the things that I noticed was like, just holding a high standard. And we talk about this with our guys, and it's something that like we bring up all the time, and it still is not good, is like cleaning. Cleaning is very important. And like Rob's office, the Compass office, is immaculate. The break room's immaculate. The shop, immaculate. Their work trucks, he's got, one thing that blew me away was in the shop, there was like there's a whole shelf system or whole racking with cleaning supplies, and it's like each type of cleaning supply stacked like 6 deep. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, the guys, they come back and they clean their trucks. I was like, yo.
Mm-hmm. That was one of the first things I noticed when we went to the office the other day, our office. I went to the bathroom, and there's like soap dribbles all over the sink.
Yeah.
And I was like, we can't wipe this out?
Right.
Like, there's 4 of us here. There's, well, 2, 3. And
if you can't, and that's the thing, if you can't get it good with 2 to 3 people, how are you going to have it good with 15?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to have it good with 50?
Yeah. It's like, and it's something that if like one person doesn't do, it's going to throw the whole thing off.
Yep. Fucks up the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, because that's how, like, at Gold Star,
yep,
it sucked because there was one team that would not clean up after themselves. Mm-hmm. So guess what? All the other teams just started getting their own fridges, their own break areas, because we were so sick of that one team being disgusting that we're like, fine, this is your area. We're all going to have our own, and they're going to be nice and clean.
And that shouldn't be how it is.
100%.
Yeah, dude, it's something. It's so true. It's that standard,
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. We definitely got to work on it big time. Mm-hmm. We have to work on it big time. But yeah, like we talk about at job sites, like clean up. Spend 30 minutes cleaning up. Mm-hmm. Make sure it's clean when you leave. As you're working throughout the day, keep it clean, because if you're not keeping it clean, you're tracking shit everywhere, grinding it into the floor, making it dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. Keep that shit clean as you work. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people struggle so much with that. Yeah.
Yeah, or they're like too lazy to put paper down before they put all their tools on the brand new countertops.
Yep.
And it's just like, these are brand new countertops. You don't want to risk fucking them up.
Like, how does this make any goddamn sense? Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's the little things that get overlooked. That it and that's what it is. It's not doing the little things. It's not doing the little things right. Mm-hmm. If you can't do the little things right, what's to say you're going to do the big things right?
Right.
And so it starts with the little things, and that's how you raise your standard. So yeah, it's that was one of the biggest things I took away from him, was like the little thing. I noticed all the little things were done. Mm-hmm. And most people don't do that.
No, not at all.
Most people don't do that. Something else that I took away that I really liked was, and we talked about this a little bit, like, it's fine to have shit in seasons to get you to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah, like, you don't, I say this to people so much, dude, like, they're like, I want to be a full-time entrepreneur. I'm like, awesome. Well, what are you doing right now to be an entrepreneur? Well, I would like to do this business. Okay, cool. Do you actually currently make money with that business? No. Well, why don't we make sure it's a viable business before we quit our job and do that? Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, I read that you got to engulf yourself, so I'm going to quit my job. And then they sit there and spin their wheels and spin their wheels and spin their wheels because they ain't making no money.
Right.
And then they're developing bad habits because they're sitting around most of the day instead of like doing something. And it's like, hey, you could keep your job and you could do this work on the side and you'd be more productive and you're making all that money. But the issue is you've got all this time, so now you're working slow, so you're like, I've got forever to get this done. And so you're not like as efficient with it. You're not learning how to be efficient with it. You're not making sure you replace your income and shit like that. And so, sorry. CP. Yeah, not really taking the time to like, it all builds on itself. It's all a work in progress. And so, you know, doing something to reach the next stage. So like, we've talked about it before about not wanting, we've talked about it in two ways. Like one, having a branch of a branch of our business be for customer focused. And maybe we still do that. Maybe we build out a branch that's customer focused. But like, really what we'd rather do is flips, developments of sorts, and multifamily. Like that's what we really would like to do. And so
We did have a crazy idea at one point of building tiny homes. Anyways, I just remembered that and I just had to say it before I forgot again.
we did one thing, doing the tiny home villages be kind of cool. Still an option, I guess. You see that company that was there yesterday, the one Courtney's selling houses for, the Covenant, or no, the whatever. It's like you can buy houses for under $200,000.
Yeah, I did not see that.
Yeah, they were the stand right next to Stookie on the left side. But yeah, so pretty much you can get houses, brand new houses for under $200,000, but you got to pay lot rent. And then eventually I think you have the option to buy the lot, but I don't know what it's for, you know? So I thought when I heard that, I was like, oh, this is like a trailer park. This makes sense.
Yeah.
You're definitely probably not getting the best quality people. But it's kind of a cool, it's similar to the tiny home concept I'd have.
Yeah, I mean, the houses are pretty small.
Yeah, for sure.
But they're what, 2 bed, 1 bath? Two bed, 2 baths?
Something, they're not that big.
No.
But yeah, I'm like, this would make sense to do, because you could build these, like, do a development of tiny homes, yeah. But, yeah, that would almost be like a community. And you'd have to have like a little center area so they could do all their gardening and shit. Anyways.
So yeah, doing steps.
Yeah, it's like a means to an end. So like maybe we make it into like its own division of doing customer work. But when we look at like what we enjoy doing, what we make the best profit margin on, and what we can like systemize well.
Yeah.
It's flips and multifamily and development over customer projects.
Yeah. Customer projects, there's just too many variables.
Right.
So it's really hard to systemize, because it's like, okay, well, there's this finished basement, but they want a custom tile bathroom with built-in bookshelves.
Right.
And then we have this customer who wants a finished basement, and they just want all the standard stuff.
Right.
It's just like, those just have two very different systems and different pieces we need to fit in there in a different order, and it's just, it's
and
a mess.
you're working with like you're taking orders from customers instead of making the decisions yourself. And so it becomes a lot harder to make things happen, because you're always having to run it by someone else for a decision. Where like flips or rentals, I make the decision. It's too easy.
And that's why like we've kind of debated doing like a design plan where like we bring it to customers and we're just like, this is what we do. If you want something different, you have to choose it by this date, and you have to purchase it yourself.
You gotta let us know. It's gotta be there, all that stuff. Yep.
But so that's what like we're kind of thinking, just to make it a little more systemized, while we still are doing customer jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just tough because so many. It's just hard to systemize, and you get a lot of customers not picking out materials and stuff right away.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
It's, I think if we did like a deadline, because then we would still have time to order it
Yep.
if we had to do it our way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyways.
Cool. Yeah, so that, I mean, doing things in steps, I like that. Like,
you're not going to be where you want, like, you're not going to be doing what you're ideally doing right away for the most part.
It might take 10 years. It might take 15 years.
I mean, there's a friend of ours yesterday that we talked to who started with just dumpsters.
Mm-hmm.
And he started with what? Just dropping off dump trailers?
Dumpster dom. Yeah, started with just dropping dump trailers off. Yep.
Yep. And then once he was able to make enough money, now he has 30-yard
roll-offs. Yep.
30-yard roll-offs that he can deliver. And now he's also going into like excavating and demolition and stuff.
Yep.
So he's been slowly working his way up into doing more, which is really cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really cool. Mm-hmm. It's all just steps.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really like that because it can make you. It's just a little easier than going like, I'm doing this for 50 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really cool. That was a good lesson to hear of like someone who strategically or like, thoughtfully was like, yeah, I'm doing this for a season to get to this. So then I could do that for a season to get to this. So I can do that for a season to get to this. I'm like, damn. So yeah, super cool there. What else?
So you got standards, having a system, leading the system, not the team, and taking things by steps.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of the stuff that you guys talked about were like standards.
Yeah, a lot of it was. Something else was, a lot of people are like, oh, you can't find deals or whatever. It was a while ago, so it's not necessarily the same, but one of the deals he got, or I think of his like 800 some units, I think he said around like 500 were on market.
Dang.
500 were on market. And one of them was one that he kept driving by, seeing whatever for like a year. And then finally he's like, fuck, I can make that work by doing this. If I offer this, if I do this, I can make that work. Mm-hmm. And then he got it. And it's just like thinking outside the box, but it was for sale forever. Anyone could have done that at any point,
I feel like that's one thing, like we for sure know, like people are so afraid to like underbid things.
Yes.
And it's like, what's the worst that they're going to do? Say no?
And then just move on.
Right.
Whatever.
So like we do it quite often of like putting in low offers because we're just like, if we get it at this price, like it'll work.
Right.
But like if they say no, okay, we're walking away.
Yep. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's kind of interesting, kind of neat. But so it's like, making work what's out there,
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it's interesting. It gets harder and harder to do, but like he thought outside the box and made it work.
Well, and so many people are like, I think, don't look on the market because everyone says there's no good deals on the market.
Right.
And then people are also just like afraid to just, like I said, like take the leap, like put in the low ball offer.
Right. Another thing is, like, I wondered when developing made sense. Because we talked earlier this year and we looked at developing the 70 units. Mm-hmm. And we were like, this don't make sense at all. Like where we are at, this makes zero fucking sense. Like this could sink our ship easy. One thing could sink the ship big time. So like absolutely not doing that. But in Rob's scenario, where he's been paying down debt, so in 5 to 10 years, he's going to have paid off assets. He's going to need tax write-offs because he's already depreciated these buildings and paid off the mortgage and stuff. And so building then to give you a bigger tax burden that doesn't cash flow as much is going to help offset, well, it doesn't cash flow at all, is going to help offset the income you're getting from your other units. And so when you're talking about doing a development or a build that's, 1/8 of your portfolio or like 1/10 of your portfolio, and you're doing it to help to help increase your tax burden and also to negate income, makes a lot of sense. That 1/8 to 1/10 isn't going to sink your ship.
Yeah, no.
If anything, it's going to help bring your ship afloat more because you're not going to be pouring so much out to taxes. But so seeing that and being like, okay, you've been doing this 21 years, you're just developing in the last few years. Like, I've been doing this 4 years.
Yeah.
Full time, 4 years, And so it's like, okay, maybe I've got, maybe before I do big developments, maybe I'm 10, 15 years out.
Right.
Like, we want to start doing little ones, but the little ones won't sink our ship. Doing a 4-unit, a 6-unit, 8-unit, that's not going to sink our ship. But that's like it for now until our portfolio grows, until our portfolio is being paid down more, and stuff, and we got more equity and whatnot, and more knowledge on how to develop. Then, in 10, 15 years, 20 years, it starts to make sense.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I thought it was interesting because I was like, man, why do people build? It doesn't make fucking sense. It's similar to, like, we've had this chat before, life insurance.
Yeah.
In the realm of, like, right now, it doesn't make sense for us. In 10, 20 years, it might. We might be big-ass proponents for it in 10, 20 years.
Yeah, that's very true.
You never know. But
that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's good to think about.
It's cool to think about. It's fun. Something he said that's cool is what's up?
Thinking about the future. He really thinks far ahead.
I'll bring that up in a second. One of the things that he said makes him the saddest or bothers him is he's got multiple friends or people who've reached out to him and asked for advice over the years who had some success in real estate, started, got the rentals, started getting the cash flow, and instead of saving and stacking cash and being cash heavy and pouring it back into your portfolio and getting more units and paying down debt and all that shit, people take it and they buy a nice house and they buy a cabin and they buy a boat, and they buy new cars. And next thing you know, they're using up all of their cash flow and some. They've got everything leveraged.
Yep.
And then they have a bad year or two and they can't pay their bills. So they got to get rid of all their toys. They lose their properties and shit like that. And then they're back at square one because they became consumers. They did the right things. They saved the money. They invested right. They're making more money instead of stacking that cash and investing more and whatever and saving money for your rainy day funds and all that shit. They started consuming, started buying toys, lavish lifestyles, whatever, and boom, gone, done.
That's wild.
So he said that bothers him a lot.
I could see that. So yeah, he just keeps all of his money that he makes on his properties in his properties.
Yeah.
Which we obviously don't do that. We take whatever our cash flow is and we have a big we have an investment bank account. So we move everything that we make on our rentals into that bank account.
I personally like doing it that way because then I keep only what is necessary to operate in the account. And then we're saving money for CapEx maintenance vacancy. And we put that into the savings account for the business. And so if we have some shit happen, essentially we make our portfolio cover it, right? And then we have investing funds, which is separate completely. So that's our cash flow we set aside as investing funds, which is completely separate. So we can look and go, okay, we've set our money aside. We know how much we needed for our CapEx vacancy maintenance. And now we have investing funds. Now there's a couple properties like we talked about that we could do some shit to. Mm-hmm. Like one of them we could put a garage on if we wanted to bring up the value of the property. One, we could look at doing the roof in the next 3-5 years.
We could add a driveway to one.
Okay, yep. And so it's things like that where it's like we can do shit to make it better if we thought that investing that would give us the right return. But a lot of my units I have now, I don't plan to have forever.
Yeah.
I only have, only a couple of what we have now I plan to hold for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, everything else will fade away into oblivion. Because
I figured because a lot of them are older.
Right. So my whole idea is as those get paid down more, and we sell them, to try to sell 2-3 at a time to 1031 into something bigger or something we're building.
Yeah.
To use, because, a lot of our, quite a few of our properties we have good debt to equity in.
Yeah.
And there's a couple we could sell. Any of them. We could sell any of them and make way more on them if we were going to be building or something and going like, hey, yeah, we're going to get rid of the 3 houses that are pre-1940 and we're going to get the tenants out. We're going to stage them. We're going to list them. We're going to sell them. And we're going to roll those funds from those 3 into a 8 unit we're building. And that's going to at that point, if we sold 3 of those houses, if we rolled that money into an 8 unit or a 12 unit, something like that, we would make great cash flow because we would be rolling in 200 in equity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it is a down payment, plus we're building it for way cheaper, so we would cash flow.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it that way, is like, I'll definitely be there's only a couple that we have now that I plan to keep long term. The other ones will be getting rid of as we see fit. Some of them are on a 10-year lock, and we got 8 years left on that lock at 3.75. And there is one that I'm tempted to sell.
Which one?
I'll share that with you later.
Okay.
But if you look at it, it's similar to what we've done with a couple of our other projects. The CapEx is high. What needs to be done for CapEx is kind of high. And so if you look at it, it's like, this won't increase rents at all. It might help it appreciate a little bit, but what really will we gain by it?
Right.
Not much.
Okay.
So it's like
weighing the pros and cons.
Yeah. So, but then again, we got 8 more years at a 3.75 lock, and we make good cash flow on it. So it'd be hard to get rid of.
Right. Because we could always limp it along.
Yeah.
And then sell it to build a new one.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's interesting. Being future looking. Is that what we were talking about, or what were we talking about?
You were talking about keeping money in the properties.
The funds. Yeah. Yep.
But looking into the future, I mean, so we literally just demonstrated that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, 8 years, I'd be shocked if we're not building 8 units at least. I don't know.
Building or, or buying more or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, just knowing for the fact of like, okay, so we got in, let's say, 6 to 8 years, we need to start looking for something to 1031 that specific property into.
Yep. Yeah, there's like 3 I know of that I want to do right away. Once that time's up, be like, these are the ones we need to, because their CapEx is going to be so high that it'll be like, it's not worth it for us to keep.
Because, there's one, is it the one property that I increased our CapEx or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's interesting. That's the shit we think about a lot, is like, and I talked to Ryan about this a lot. Like, I am way more about efficiency than I am about more.
Yeah.
Like, instead of just adding, I'm way more, I'm like, nope. I like to keep shit pretty stress-free and efficient. And
so if we can have less units and make more money, let's do it.
That's it. Yep. So, and we did that. I mean, we cut our unit count from 60 to 20 something, and our cash flow went up drastically. So I was like, this is stupid.
Yep.
Like, unit count means, the unit count, you get the other benefits. You get your debt pay down, you get your appreciation, you get your tax benefit, you get all that. But I don't care. That's not me.
Yeah.
So I just like efficiency on what I have. And I mean, like, yeah, I mean, we do the same thing in our business. We just let go of a sub that wasn't performing at the standard we want, wasn't performing as well as the other subs. And we'll just do a little less work, but we'll be more efficient at the work. We're going to make more money on the work. It's like, sure, we'll be doing a little less work, but it's going to be more efficient. We're going to make our profit margin's going to go up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, take that for whatever it is. We definitely don't do things. I'm not saying our method's the right method.
No.
It's the method I like doing. And that's something that, like, dude, we know so many people. Like, we did a unit turnover for a gentleman this year. Bigger landlord, slumlord. And he does things his way. Like, that's how it is. He's like, why would I replace that light fixture? It works. And I was like, because it looks like shit and it would cost $50 to replace, and the room is dark and dungy, and if we replace that light, it'll be bright and not that way. And he's like, that's a waste of money. And I'm like, what? We just spent over 25 grand here. What are you talking about? Like, $50. Let's change out the fixture. So that, is one of them. And then, like, that's his personal thing. And it's like, hey, you ever think of selling real estate? Well, why would I do that? Well, you said you're sick of it and you want to retire. You think of selling on land contracts? No, I would never do that. Well, why not? Well, the only reason to sell real estate is to upgrade your real estate and to buy more real estate. And I was like, yeah, but you just said you want out of real estate. And he's like, yeah, but that's not I don't care. Like, that's not how it works. And I'm like, no, it does. What you're saying makes no sense to me. And he's like, no, the only reason you sell real estate is to buy more real estate. And I'm just like, but you just told me you don't like real estate. And he's like, I don't care. And I'm like, okay, then. Like, and that dude's got a fucking a ton of units. Dude's got a lot of money. And that's how he operates. And so, instead of land contracting, selling some stuff, and continuing to get income, he's like, fuck that. I need to upgrade.
Dude, he was even so... it was just so interesting because he's like, I haven't made any money off of this unit. And he's just like, so I want you to cash half of the repairs for in 2024 and the other half in 2025, so then I can have 2 tax write-offs or whatever. And we're like, okay, whatever, dude.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
That's like how old school this guy is. He's just like, this is how I want it done. Okay.
Whatever, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's not thinking ahead, really. I mean,
no, that's just bullheaded thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's old school mentality. But I talk to guys about old school mentality all the time. Yeah, that's something I talk to Rob about. Rob's hours 8 to 4, and he's like, we respond within 24 hours to whatever thing. Maintenance goes into our portal, so we still get the maintenance done if it's urgent maintenance. Otherwise, we get to it on Monday. He said we try to enjoy our lives.
Mm-hmm.
We're at work from 8 to 4. We're very professional while we're at work, but we want to enjoy our lives. And I'm like, I get it. He's like, we're not on this earth just to work. I'm like, yep. And because he gets it because he spent how many years just fucking grinding to get where he wanted to go. Years and years and years. So now that he spent 15 years doing that, he's like, I'm done with that.
Right. Makes sense.
And I get it. And I'm going to get there too. You know, I've worked a lot and I keep working a lot, but something like that sounds pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I get it. Because then you can do the shit you want to do in the afternoons and whatever.
Yeah.
And the mornings. Which I do a lot now. So, but the...
thinking ahead. We were going to talk more about thinking ahead.
Yeah, we were.
So, I mean, like, thinking ahead, like, also in the way of, like, he knew where he wanted to end up.
Right.
So, like, when he started, he knew that he would want to eventually develop bigger units.
Right.
So he thought that far ahead and planned out a plan. Like, so he planned out those stepping stones. He planned out, like, he, like, had a rough framework for, like, 30 to 40 years. Yeah. And we've talked about, like, planning, like, a year, 5 years, maybe 10 years ahead. He planned out 30 years.
30, 40 years, yeah. And he didn't have it, like, full planned out, but he's like, this is where I want to go. So if I do this, like, I'm going to just fucking end up there, right? Like, I'm just going to end up there. And so he's like, I'm just going to do this shit, and then this runs into this runs into this, and then I'm going to get there. Mm-hmm. You know, so you don't have to, and that's like...
You just put, like, specific dates of,
right.
like, well, I need to be here at this date.
You don't have to put specific dates, and you don't have to have it, like, 100% planned out. You know, if you got a rough plan, I sent Andy Frisella posted about this the other day, and I sent it to Ryan and Kyle, because Ryan talks about all the time. It's like, you don't have to have a 100% game plan. Get in the game. Get in the game with a plan that's 50, 60% thought out.
Yeah.
Then when you're in the game, you're going to learn the other 40, 50%. And you're just going to fucking work those kinks out. And it's what we're doing right now with our business. Is it's like we're trying a couple different, like, we talk about where we kind of want to go, and we know where we want to go in general, but it's like we're going to try out like 2 to 3 things all within the same route to see like which one's actually getting us where we want to go the best. Mm-hmm. And as we're doing those things, seeing what our guys are doing well, what they're not doing well, what we're doing well, what we're not doing well, and then adjusting and going, okay, well, this is what we need to focus on better. These are the roles that the positions actually need to have. Mm-hmm. These guys are pulling their weight. These guys aren't pulling their weight. So talk to these guys. Why aren't they doing what these guys are doing? Okay. You got a couple months to fix it. Well, you haven't fixed it, so you're gone now. Mm-hmm. Now we know the standard now. And we didn't know the standard before, mm-hmm. but now we're getting an idea of a standard. And so now we keep adding as we need. And then we can say, this is how we want it. This is how we want it to look. Mm-hmm. But you never get there if you don't start.
Oh, for sure.
And so.
And like, yeah. Or try new things. So like for a while, we're like, oh yeah, we could just do customer jobs. And then we are a year into doing customer jobs and we're like, The same for us.
Yeah, I don't love it. I get mad. I'm actually mad more than I'm not.
Yeah. So we now know doing customer jobs had to be one of our stepping stones. So it's a good thing that we went into that realm.
Oh, for sure.
But so now we're like, okay, like we are going to work towards phasing this stepping stone out when it's viable.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll keep trucking along and doing customer jobs until the other avenues of our business that we prefer are producing more income.
Yep. The only thing I like about customer jobs, and we've talked about this before, is like, I don't like the idea of building out a big company for customer jobs. I've never liked that. The only thing I do like about it is like it covers the bills.
It's constant income.
It's consistent income that covers the bills, which is really nice.
Yeah.
That part, 'cause it's like, well, we just know our overhead's covered, you know?
Yeah.
So that part's nice.
Yeah.
Because before, like with just strictly flipping, it's like, okay, we're slowing down, or like we've got 3 houses listed right now. We're closing in 6 weeks, we're closing in 4 weeks, and we're closing in 3 weeks. Okay, well, we fucking only have this much money in the account. We need to pull money from here so we can cover the rent, so we can cover subs, so we can, and all that shit.
And I think that'll change more as we, because one, like, it's really nice with the flips doing the construction loans.
Yeah. Because
then we can, like, pull money out throughout the project. Correct. So then we're able to, like, pay the bills, because then we'll can reimburse ourselves with that.
Yep.
But also if we like financing our own projects, then we can do that as well.
Right.
So that is kind of a way we can consistently keep money coming in with just flips.
Right. And the more, like, if we can just get a couple more flips, and as we, like, this year we paid off all our debt. We paid off all our debt last year. And so now this year, that all that money can go in the savings account. And so then, like, if things are taking a little longer to close or whatever, and we're still working on projects, we have that savings, that net that we can use. Yeah. And then replenish it when we get paid and stuff. 'Cause,
the other thing was, like, last summer was the first time we really did small flips.
That's right.
And so it was perfect because we were just finishing up 2 big flips. Big flips. Year project flips. And then we had 2 small flips, and we had one big flip just starting. Yep. And it was kind of perfect because we were able to kind of, one, like, shuffle people around, like, depending on what work needed to be done where. Yep. But 2, then it was really nice that we only had to put $10,000-$15,000 into a flip. And we were so from when we bought it to when we sold it was less than 3 months.
Yes. Yep. For both of them. Yep.
For both of them. So that is also, like, something, like, that we finally stepped into. That's really nice to get money consistently coming in.
Right. Yep. Definitely. Definitely.
So that was something, like, we didn't think about ahead, like, before. That was not in our future radar. Right. But now it will be.
Right. Yeah. I've met with so many people about, like, doing the lipstick flips or, like, the low amount into flips. And I was like, I like the big ones. Like, we always do big ones because no one else wants to do the big ones. But then we did a couple of those low ones, and I was like, oh, fuck. The profit margins are ridiculous. Your hold time is nothing. So you got minimal holding costs. You have minimal hours in, so your dollar per hour is gnarly. And then you're making like 1/3 to a half the profit in 3 months as you would on something that takes like 6 to 12 months.
And then we don't lose, like, what we had initially planned.
Right. You're not getting confused. It's very clear what the scope is. Things are moving fast. You're not coordinating a bunch of people at different times throughout a whole project. It's just bam.
Yep. There's something about bigger projects with us that the longer they go on, the more complicated we want to make them, the
That's
more
stupid.
fancy we want to make them. Like
Stupid, foolish.
yeah. So when we just do these little ones, it's just like, okay, we're putting
Ding,
minimal
ding, ding.
effort, done.
Yep.
Cool. Any other lessons you got from Rob?
There is definitely some more, but those are the main ones I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
You want to recap those real quick?
Nope.
Okay.
Listen through.
Sounds good.
Got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Cool. Peace.
See ya.